yeah, it's time to share them. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Well, I saw them and they're looking amazing. Can't wait to share with the community.
Yes, it's how you doing, Ben?
Doing well, doing well.
Yeah,
What do you?
you get any sleep?
Yes, I've been getting some sleep. What about you? That's a real question.
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting sleep. I think I'm good. Um, it's going to be a wild reveal process, and then we got the Kentucky Derby, so it's going to be a lot of great announcements on this AMA. Do you even call this an AMA, or what does AMA stand for?
AMA's asked me anything. I'd say this is more of just general information session.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Um,
Real quick
so
before we get started, the main stage chat is open for you guys all, and as well, please be following along with on the main stage slide section. All the alpha we're talking about will be posted there for you guys to follow along.
all right, are you going to be the one posting them, or
Yep.
do you have the right order as well?
I don't have the order, so you just gotta give me the name of the slide, and I'll send it in.
Okay, perfect. They do have titles by there on the top left, so
Yep.
I'll just type which one to post. Okay, awesome. So I guess we could want to wait like 2 more minutes, give everyone 5 minutes to get in.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Um, Listen, I hope by the end of this call or this discussion, community, everyone's excited about it because we worked hard on organizing it, so it should be very, clear in terms of understanding Rarity, getting prepared for reveal, and getting excited about, just having your avatar. So, should be great. Let me see.
We're super excited. I mean, I know personally, I can't wait to see mine reveal. So,
Yeah. Listen, the one you got now is pretty rare, so
no.
I'd be hyped if I got that one. Yeah.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. I do know that Dan might pop in. We'll see if he does. But let's get started. Before we post the first slide, I guess I could just give a brief introduction or overview. I do see that some of, a lot of our team is here. I do see that a lot of, the creatives and the lead product guys are here as well. I just want to shout them out. I see Paul, I see Anthony. I think Ilya might be on here as well, and I guess I'm speaking on behalf of our team when I kind of go through this collection, but I always just got to give them praise because they're the creative geniuses. So let's get started. I essentially, just to give everyone an overview, I'm going to be presenting slides that give an overview of like the ultra rare, the legendary, the rare, the common, the uncommon, just traits within the collection, and then explaining how to interpret your avatar once you get it, because our collection is quite robust and there's a lot of ways to understand the utility and rarity behind an avatar. And I did go through a rarity discussion I think last week, but this discussion as a whole is going to be a lot more visual, and I think it'll be a lot more helpful in terms of just understanding the range of traits within this collection. Super excited to share. So I think we'll kick it off with the legendary traits and understanding of legendary avatars. So the first slide we'll post, I guess, will be the legendary slide. So why don't we post that up for everyone in the main stage slides so everyone can take a look, and we'll kind of go through the legendary traits. Awesome. All right. Yep. Perfect. So if you take a look at this, everyone, we don't want to. Throughout this presentation, you're going to see a bunch of avatars, but obviously there's quite a range of avatars in this collection, with 5,000 being revealed, and each one is incredibly unique, which I'll get into. But there are some that will possess an immense amount of incredibly legendary traits. So first off, gold avatars. There's only 16 gold avatars in the entire collection. Those are incredibly rare. There are only 10 platinum avatars in the entire collection, and those are even more rare. And then on top of that, we have pearl avatars, which there are only 5, and there are only 2 rust avatars. So those are kind of really, really rare materials. We're talking about immensely rare colors and materials that are only on a couple of them. On top of that, we have some really, really ultra rare traits. So obviously the king and queen traits are really rare. That means we only have 8 queen avatar in the entire collection, and around 33 king avatars in the collection as well. As I go through this, I'll basically be explaining how to interpret, the way that you look at these avatars, and interpret the way that not only the traits, but the colors and patterns on top of those traits play a significant role as well. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. So when you see 3 out of 3 pattern, what that means is that the pattern on the helmet, the pattern on the sleeves, and the pattern on the jacket are all identical. If they're all identical, means that it's an incredibly rare pattern combination. So you will find traits, for example, if you look at the king trait on the left, not only is it a king, but all 3 of its patterns are the Silk's luxury pattern, which means that it's immensely rare because it possesses a bunch of different variations of rarity that are kind of compiled on top of each other. There are only 31 avatars in the entire collection that possess the same patterns across all of the different locations across the body. And on top of that, which for me I will be looking in the marketplace to purchase on the secondary market, are the colors. There are only 23 single color avatars. And those are really, really unique because obviously there's going to be an all gold avatar, there's all platinum, all pearl, and then when you look at all the colors, each color could only be represented one time across all the traits without it having any pattern or any secondary color. So there's only one of those that could exist, and there's only 23 of them that exist in the collection. On top of that, we have some incredibly rare accessories, some rare helmets, and some rare patterns that we could get into as well, but they'll be unveiled throughout the unveil process within the collection. As I explained, the colors and patterns in terms of their rarity, they play a significant role in rarity as well because, as I'll show in the last slide of the presentation, those patterns are going to be reflected on your silk of your horse and on the flag of your stable. So when someone, for example, has a variation of patterns, a different pattern on the helmet, a different pattern on the sleeve, and a different pattern on the body, their flag is going to have 3 different pattern locations. If they have all the same pattern, that pattern will be draped across the entire flag, and it's one pattern across the flag. That's really, really rare. It can only happen one time for that pattern and those color combinations. And then even more than that, if your flag was just like we see here, our Silk's Ocean Blue color palette, and to tell you all, the amount of time we went into just kind of cultivating the color palette is immense. I know that the team's on the call right now, so they know how much time and energy we put into just cultivating that, that look and feel. But your flag of your stable will just be that one color. It'll be so distinct and unique because you identify your ownership with a single color alone. So those are incredibly rare. And that kind of encompasses a lot of the overview of the legendary traits. And as you look at the collection, obviously these colors can be reflected across every single trait that we have. And then not only that, a combination of colors, traits, and patterns could, collectively translate into an incredibly rare avatar. So you want to take into consideration just all these different factors that play a role in terms of understanding combinations in rarity as you reflect on the rarity of your avatar, and essentially the odds from a randomization or rarity perspective of even getting that avatar. So there's a lot of interesting thoughts on that. I know Dan is actually going to be releasing an overview in terms of just thinking through an unrevealed vial, the probability of an ultra rare, and what that might translate to in the secondary market, because just thinking that through is actually a very interesting concept. So I think he is working on something which might be really interesting to look over as well. So why don't we move on from here, from the legendary guide to the ultra rare guide, and just get into the ultra rare a little bit. Okay, awesome. So now we're going to look at some ultra rare avatars. And just for an understanding, if we break up the legendary, based on the calculations of all these traits, we're looking at around between 100 to 150 avatars that could possess these traits in the entire collection. And then obviously some do have, compounding traits that have multiple different combinations on top of each other. And then if we look at the ultra rare, Accessories are ultra rare, meaning only 10% of all avatars have an accessory, and then depending what accessory they have is also going to play a factor in its rarity. So we have multiple gold accessories, multiple diamond accessories, and then we have a ruby accessory as well. And those would be considered ultra rare, but depending what accessory possesses those materials is going to be a rarity factor as well. On top of that, you're just looking over here at some of the helmets that would be categorized as ultra rare helmets. That means only 1% of all the traits have it, which is really, really huge. That means only 100 of the traits have that helmet, whether it be the cowboy helmet, the aviator helmets, carousel helmets, and then we look at visors, eyewear as a whole. So all these factors play a role in terms of distinguishing the rarity of your avatar. And if you were to think, if you got, for example, if we look right here at the aviator helmet, that one possesses the pink and I think that's light blue. It possesses also the visor, and the visor is only 1.09% of the collection. So it's taking a combination of rare traits and it's representing them together. And then even on the bottom right, which I'll speak to at the end, what are the odds that you get a diamond Ethereum necklace with gold's Ethereum eyewear? Because the odds of you getting the eyewear, which is ETH, which is only 0.92%, and then the diamond Ethereum necklace on top of that being coupled with each other, there's only a few in the collection that have those duplicates combinations. In fact, at the end, I think I go over a couple rarity combinations, and this is something that you can look across the collection as you browse, and you'll stumble across these rarities. But it's really an interesting concept to think about, because I think based on the calculations, there's only 4 in the entire collection that have both. So that's quite rare when you think about it. And then I think we could hop over to the rare guide. And I'm just going through this. We'll leave these up, and I'm sure we'll also make an announcement on Twitter and allow people to kind of look at these different rarity breakdowns. So when they get their avatars, they get a really strong understanding of the rarity distribution for their avatar. On top of that, I know we are going to be on different rarity websites so that people could get a really strong sense of the rarity. And one thing I did forget to mention for the ultra rares, and I don't think we've released any of them yet. But the less traits an avatar has, the more rare it is. And we see that consistently across collections. But if, for example, your avatar didn't have all the patterns, or didn't have a secondary color, or didn't have a helmet, whatever it is, the less the patterns it has, the more simple it is, the more recognizable it'll be on your silk, and the more rare it becomes. So that's also a factor to consider, is like, well, how many traits does my avatar have when I get it at reveal? And all these factors play a role in terms of distinguishing and understanding the rarity of your avatar. And then I guess we can move on from the rare guide to the, so we're on the rare guide right now. So now if we look at the rare guide, this is where we get into some of the other traits, and patterns play a role here as well. So when you think about, we do have traditional, what I'd say, silk patterns, right? We have the hollow box, the diamond seam, all the patterns that are conventional within the thoroughbred horse racing world, we've taken and utilized through the collection. And obviously we've given a new, I'd say, modern approach or even cultural approach to a lot of our traits. But as you do go through the rarity, you'll see that the more common avatars are the ones that are more traditional in nature. So that means they do possess traits that you'd see on an actual track by a jockey. The more unconventional traits, I would say, are more rare. And when you look at the rare guide, we see the patterns, like we have a Silk's Luxury pattern, which is one of my personal favorites. We have blockchain Ethereum. We even have some cement patterns. So anyone who's, we try to throw cultural references out there across the collection, so you'll see a lot of that. But the cement kind of pays homage to the cement forest, to the Jordan, and kind of taking a take on that. And some of these avatars that have that are rare are pretty wild. But we have a bunch of different cultural references, and that's something that we also want to gauge from the community as we build this brand and this project, is like, do you appreciate those cultural references? What are your favorite traits, your favorite, different designs that we have, so that as we do build upon this project, we continue to deliver on the things that makes everyone really excited. So that's going to be big for us as well, and I appreciate seeing 255 people on right now. We're really excited for you all to be here, and just getting better visibility from you all in terms of those thoughts are going to be really helpful for us. So I'm sure we'll go through that as well. And then essentially, you look at different eyewear. Podwear is really, really cool, but we have a bunch of distributions of eyewear and jackets that make up Rare. So when you look at this, kind of distribution range, we're looking at around 2 to 6%, 2 to like 6-7% in terms of the collection have these traits. And one big thing to notice, which is I'm going to talk about on the last slide of the collection, but for color right here, aqua is an incredibly rare color. And what I mean by it being incredibly rare is that aqua doesn't work too well with a lot of the other, all the other colors. So by virtue of that, as the collection is being curated and generated, most of the aquas were removed by process of that. And what that means is that there are some color combinations with aqua that are very, very, very rare. And by virtue of that, you won't see aqua with so many colors all the time. And if you do get aqua with a specific color, there might only be a couple of those color combinations that exist. So, color plays a role in that rarity as well. And just looking through these different, traits, you can see the kind of the distribution of the rarity across the rare guide. But yeah, I could go through each one, but we have all this visually for people to see. And I guess we can move on to the next one now, which I think is the uncommon. So just for people to know, we basically have two avatar types. We have the male avatar and the female avatar, and the female avatar essentially makes up around 20% of the entire pool of avatars. So it is more uncommon in general to get one of those. And then on top of that, the specific traits that it possesses are interesting as well. So if we even look at the rare guide still, the velocity jacket for the female avatar there's only 6.8% of all the traits have that velocity jacket. And then we'll get into it later, but you think about combinations. Well, how rare is a velocity jacket with a velocity helmet? Because if we look at the rare guide, you see velocity helmet is right next to it on the right. And getting both of those is going to play a rarity factor as well. And now we look at the uncommon guide. And just looking through the uncommon, what we see here is that, these are more of the traditional or conventional, approaches we're getting there. So one of the really cool jackets is a thruster. I'm a big fan of the thruster jacket. But now we're seeing kind of more uncommon traits. So we see form 02 is 20%. We see different colors here that make up a strong percentage. But these are going to be a lot more of the prevalent traits that are more uncommon in nature. And then as we get to the common traits, we'll kind of see how those are going to be played out across the collection as well. And a really interesting thing to note here is that you might get, common traits, but depending on how rare the color is in conjunction with those traits, how rare that pattern combination is in conjunction with those traits, it'll play a factor as well across the collection. So there's all these different things that you could think about and appreciate as you're kind of looking at the collection and kind of which avatars speak to you. And, when I go across the collection, there are so many that catch my eye. And a big factor that we'll see, I guess, in the secondary market is, well, what color combinations are the most sought after color combinations? And how does that play a factor? So obviously, aqua becomes an incredibly sought after rarity color, but there are uniqueness across the entire collection that I'll talk about in the last slide. So let's go on to the common guy now. Just to look at common, and if Ben, if you have any thoughts or comments in the process, just let me know. But essentially, going into the common, we look at these are all common traits. So as I mentioned earlier, the traditional racing jacket is what I'd say. The traditional jockey wears that, and then you think of the helmet. We have a vintage helmet, and we have a cap helmet. So this is when you really stick with the real world and paying homage to the real world, and that plays a factor as well. And then, you have eyewear, vintage, goggles that play across that consistent real-world theme, which is very common as a trait across the collection. And as I mentioned earlier, the more unconventional of a trait, the more rare it is. So you'll see that across some of the ultra-rares, some of the legendary. And then we even have none. So some avatar eyewear has none, and that means that the avatar will have one less trait, which makes it more rare. The more nones it has, it won't even show up on OpenSea. So meaning you won't even see that it has that trait, which means it'll only have, maybe 4 traits, maybe 5 traits. Whatever it is, the less traits you have, the more rare it becomes. And that's kind of a high-level overview across the collection of what encompasses legendary ultra rare, rare, uncommon, and common avatars across the entire collection. So it's pretty exciting. But yeah, and I'm excited for everyone to get it finally unveiled. I don't know if Dan is on the AMA right now, just because I don't know if he wants to make the announcements in regards to the unveil date, but we will be announcing that very shortly. I know everyone's really excited about it, and we're excited about it as well. And we're doing our best to, everything's ready to go. So we're gonna get that going very soon. Excited to share kind of the rarity distribution for everybody, and we have some really exciting announcements coming very soon. We've been working around the clock since the drop, and I can't tell you how appreciative we are to everyone in the community for the support, and more importantly for being really a strong foundation to this project. So I think we should move forward with the last slide in the collection. The last slide in the collection is going to talk about, and I don't know if you have that. Do you want me to post it, or
I got it. The profile?
The avatar profile, yeah. So this is just going to be, before you post it, yeah, it's right here, an avatar profile. So everyone's avatar is going to have an avatar profile. Essentially, your avatar is more than just an avatar, and I've spoken about this in the past AMA, but here's a visual representation of that. Your avatar is going to be draped across your horse, the patterns and colors, as well as across the flag of your stable. So right here gives you an overview of an avatar. And this is not an ultra-rare avatar. This is more of a traditional avatar. It has the traditional traits. It does have a really cool color combination, of the red and black. I actually noticed that I put the wrong PFP photo for that avatar, but you get the sense of how it, kind of spreads across the collection. But in terms of the color combination of having a primary color that's red and a secondary color that's black, what we're looking at right now, there's only 32 of those in the entire collection, right? So we have all the traits that make up rarity, but then the color combinations as well play a role in terms of the uniqueness of a silk that will represent your stake in our ecosystem and your identity of ownership across your stable and your horse. So this just gives a visual representation of your avatar profile, but essentially every avatar is going to have is going to have their own profile. They're going to have their own flag. They're going to have their own horse and identity across their assets. So when you are looking at your avatar, and we will be building out the way for you to interface with this and for you to see your assets reflected this way, so that when you are even searching through a collection, whether it be on our own marketplace, you'll be able to understand what that avatar silk will look across your ownership, because that plays a factor as well. And that's really an exciting piece to your identity, because it spreads your identity across all that you own. So when I was mentioning earlier, imagine that all the patterns of the avatar, the helmet pattern, the body pattern, and the sleeve pattern, were all the same. So for example, here, if the sleeve pattern was chevrons, it wouldn't be 3 locations. Because they all were the same, the entire flag would be draped in just chevrons. And by virtue of that, the flag becomes increasingly more identifiable and unique. So there plays a factor in terms of distribution of traits that will transfer over to your ownership across your assets, that plays a role in rarity as well when you think about the long-term development of this project and the utilization of your silk and identity across our ecosystem. So those are really interesting things to consider. In order to, I'll just quickly shout out, Ilya, Paul, Anthony, Sean, everyone who's really worked hard on developing this model. In order to be able to build a model that we created generative avatars that didn't only give you a helmet and goggles and jacket and collar or accessories, but to take the specific colors and this random patterns and drape them on all your traits, that required a ton of problem solving, a ton of work, and we're really excited we're able to execute on that. Because if you look at, I haven't seen a collection yet at all in the world where if you look at the traits in the collection, they're not being manipulated by other traits in the collection. Every single avatar is getting manipulated by the other traits that it possesses. And that's a really unique model we built out that was quite technical, and the ability that we had to execute on it is really, really exciting. So that gives an overview of not just the rarity of distribution across our collection, but the uniqueness tied to a silk as well. So I think I was able to explain the concept. I know that we'll be releasing more what I'd say of a structured breakdown of uniqueness, which I'll be writing and we'll be posting. So I'd be sure for everyone here to follow, to check our Twitter, because that's where we post a lot. I know Dan posts on Twitter. I'll post some on Twitter as well. But we're essentially going to be able to do that to express even more of the concept. And I think if anyone wants to come up on stage, maybe I don't think we can take too many questions right now, because there are a couple other small announcements I need to make. But I just want to make sure that I got the concept across clearly. So if anyone has any questions around that concept of uniqueness across the utility of your silk across your ecosystem, or across any of the rarity discussion we just mentioned, feel free to come up here and ask. I'm more than excited to answer. And yeah, I think that's the breakdown.
I brought up Zero Tango Tango. What's going on?
Hey guys,
Hey,
can you guys hear me?
yeah, what's good?
Okay, just a quick question. So it looks like the horse will adopt the silk of the avatar that you minted. But what if you have multiple avatars that you minted, yet when you buy horses, you want all your horses to share your favorite silk?
Yeah, that's a really wonderful question. So you're going to have the ability, and we're building this out. We're even in the process of building it out right now, but for you to essentially choose your primary silk. So you'll be prompted with all the avatars that you own, and you'll be able to choose as you load into the game, or as you kind of create a default avatar for your wallet, which silk is your primary silk across all of your assets, and that will be reflected across all the things that you own. So you'll have the ability to choose, just like, for example, in a traditional video game, when you choose kind of character select, you'll have this similar functionality to choose the silk that you identify most with.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. What's going on?
Yeah, this is Eddie.
How you doing?
Hey, you're doing really well. Thank you for this explanation. I think it's very informative. But one question on in real life, are thoroughbred athletes running various equipment? And I see here on the slide that, for example, blinkers on that match the silks. What if your horse in the real world just runs in a shadow roll or something like that? Are we going to have the ability to take equipment off?
That's a really great question. And what I'd say is we're going to be providing customization on top of the accessories that your horse does possess. Right now, just for the generic structure, we do have the blinker, but you'll be able to essentially use the equipment that you choose to use on the assets that you own. And there will obviously be gameplay around the ability for you to customize, upgrade, and kind of provide these unique accessories or equipment on top of the horses as they race within our ecosystem. Now, we want to provide the ability for you to have some control over the ownership of the way that your horse races in our metaverse. So obviously these same benefits from winning races and breeding are replicated in our ecosystem, but we do want to find a way for you to have ownership, or a really strong sense of ownership tied to your assets in our game. So by virtue of that, we don't want to just replicate the exact same, what I'd say, look from from the equipment that the horse wears in the real world, but also have the ability for you as your horse races to kind of represent the customization and the equipment that you essentially could earn through gameplay, or buy in the marketplace. So there will be the ability for you to change those things.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's good information, because who knows? Maybe in real life trainers will see what works in here first, and then they'll try it on their in real life horse.
I love that. Yeah. We'll see how far we stretch the line with crazy equipment, and how close we keep it, and I think we'll play that balance. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to get feedback from the community in terms of what they like most about our current development process, because as we play this balance between the real world and the virtual world, and the freedom we have in the virtual world, we still want to keep it true to the thoroughbred horse racing industry, but balancing that is definitely something we need to manage, and getting feedback from the community in that regard is really big for us as we kind of build our brand in relation to that. So it's going to be huge, and I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you. We're here long term.
Appreciate it. Yep. Thank you.
Sweet luck.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Benny.
Hey, what's good?
Not much, man. Not much. I have just one quick question, and I apologize if this was answered already. But I know Dan mentioned in the last AMA that there might be an opportunity to leave some of these like capsules unrevealed. Are we going to have the option to reveal them, or is that just going to be something that's automatic?
So this is what I'd say. So it's going to be automatic for these 5,000 avatars. That was a technical security we put in place for our first drop, just because if we started going into the technicalities of making it unrevealed and then you could reveal it, it could have prolonged the process or kind of put more risk in terms of us getting to this phase in the project. But a key goal for us moving forward is to allow for people to choose when they reveal their assets moving forward, because it is, I think, a really exciting piece of the game. So in the future, we will be integrating that functionality on our website and through the token drops that we do. But for this collection, it will be revealed for everybody at the same time, which I'll be announcing at the end of this call, because Dan just gave me the go-ahead, which is kind of exciting.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I'm excited. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. It's good.
Hey guys, these are absolutely stunning. I mean, the sneak peeks were great, but this is just the main course. So well done on these. Absolutely stunning. My question is on this last slide about the profile. I find it really interesting how you have listed here the specific number of this particular color combination that's available within the collection. Is that something that each avatar will also display? My math skills aren't the best, so to be able to look at percentages are great, but I'm wondering is that an aspect that you will also be providing? How many of your particular combination is available in the collection?
That's a wonderful question. So I'll answer it in two ways. The first way is we can, and if it's wanted, we will provide a document that gives the entire breakdown of color combinations and the rarity. I will say, OpenSea, whatever marketplace you choose to view the collection at, you could actually sort through it yourself. So meaning you could go to color red and click on it for primary color, and then go to color green for secondary color and click on it. And the amount of avatars that come up that are in the collection is the amount that exists with those color combinations. So even through the collection in that way, you'll get an understanding of how rare that color combination is. But if it's something you are interested in, we will provide that information. I do have it structured already. So 100%. And that's one of the things, by the way, that makes every avatar distinctly unique, is that color combinations as a whole are rare. It's not like we have 500 red and blue. There's a really strong distribution of color combinations. The ultra rare rarity comes down to some really core key colors. And then on top of that, obviously, additional traits that are very limited in quantity. But if that's something if you appreciate and it sounds like you do, I think we definitely can release a breakdown of the color combination rarity.
Oh, thank you. And a quick follow-up. When these get revealed, if I see another avatar that I'm interested in picking up, is OpenSea the only method to bid for it or try to get it? Or is there going to be a mechanism within the Silks community Discord to try to engage the person that has the avatar you may be interested in and trade it, I guess, within the community, or does it have to be on OpenSea?
So what I'd say is, depending on the marketplace, meaning I know that OpenSea is creating Coinbase is creating an NFT marketplace that is going to have the collection, have the ability for you to bid on it there. Depending on which marketplaces become more popular, it's going to be available across all of them. But in terms of creating a opportunity for us to engage within the Discord, that's a very interesting idea. I think that's something, I don't know if it's a technical question or if there's a way for us to kind of provide resources for people to engage within the server. But in terms of long-term providing marketplaces across our game, that is something we definitely have on our roadmap. And most of these marketplaces, they're not going to give you the ability to click on the avatar and then see what that avatar's silk looks like on a stable or on a horse. So our goal is to provide people with those resources as well, so that when you are looking through a collection, you don't just see it for the avatar, but you also see it for the silk flag as well. So we will be providing that functionality, but on the reveal, I'd say your best bet is to use the most popular marketplace like OpenSea.
Thanks, guys. Congrats. Well done.
Thank you.
What's up, CH?
Hey guys, once again, thanks for taking the time. The buzz around the Discord today has been near sort of mint day waiting for this reveal, so it's been a good place to be today. I've got a bit of a two-pronged question. Obviously, assume all of these avatars were sort of put in, computer generated at random, and then you picked the ones that didn't work out of them. Was that sort of the case, or?
Yeah, so we built a model. We actually have our own in-house avatar dashboard like OpenSea that we built in-house because, as the process built out, it became easier for us to do so. But we essentially created rarity thresholds for specific traits where essentially they couldn't create more than this number, and it would randomly assign them, and then by virtue of that, either they get less or equal to that quantity. And then once we generated around 12,000. We curated it down to 10,000. That's the way that we did it. And then some avatars are immensely rare, and we essentially made those one of ones. So some of the legendary avatars we actually made on our own without it being randomized in order to provide some incredibly rare avatars across the collection. But yeah, what you just said is quite accurate.
Yeah, and then going into sort of in the future as well, obviously for next year, if you were to make more avatars, obviously that's going to dilute the market of each of the rares. But how are you then going to in the future pick up different avatars? Because obviously there can only be a certain amount of each, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so this is a really good question, and I think we're going to do an AMA on it just because we've had a lot of discussions internally about our Genesis holders in particular, and providing an immense amount of value over the development of this project. There's going to be a very large distinction between a Genesis avatar and any future avatars we release, including the functionality and utility tied to these avatars. The details I can't talk about yet, but that's going to play a factor in answering your particular question. In terms of the uniqueness of a silk as we release more avatars, right? Because no two avatars could have the same flag. No two avatars could have the same blinker or blanket or their silk draped across their horse. Every horse needs to look unique in relation to the ownership, which means as we do release future avatars, we have a model that's going to check for duplicates as we generate new avatars in relation to past avatars we've released, so that we never have overlaps in terms of the actual silk. But we are going to be very cautious and also really strategic about providing value to our Genesis holders as we do release avatars in the future. Quantity of which is still in talks, but it's going to be very meaningful for everyone who does hold avatars now.
No, that's great. Thank you very much. Look forward to reveal day as always. So, cheers.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Elenta.
Hi, thank you very much for the informative session. I have a question. I don't know how much it is related to this topic, but we use the investors link to purchase the avatars, and I would like to know whether we will receive the avatars before the reveal or after.
That's a wonderful question. So two things. First thing is we did send out an email a couple days ago. I don't know if you received that email, but I would suggest if you didn't, just open a ticket in the Discord and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you did receive the email or you didn't see it, I would reply to that email as soon as possible, and we'll be right with you. I'm going to announce right now, or like at the end of this call, when the reveal is. I would suggest you get back to us as soon as possible so that we can supply you and send over the avatar before that date. I will say we have gotten a lot of replies and we have been sending them out. In the case that someone does not get their avatar before reveal, we will be emailing a structured overview of the ID avatar assigned to each person so that there's no complications if there is a case in which the avatar is revealed prior to it being sent. But I'm not speaking directly to you because that could be anyone in general who just doesn't get it. I would say I would love to get it to you before then, so please either reply to that email or essentially create a ticket in the Discord and we'll get right back to you as soon as we can. Does that work?
Yeah, I will create a ticket because I haven't received any emails.
Okay, so please do that, and I'll make sure I get back to it as well. All right?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Peter, what's up?
Hey, how are you today?
Hey, how's it going? Doing good. How are you?
Good. Doing really good. Super excited. Bravo to you and your team. What a good job. Quick question on so we got the 5,000 minted and then the 5,000 in reserve, or whatever you want to call it. Is that 5,000 that hasn't been minted? Are those considered Genesis still, or is that going to be a different
Yes,
level, if you will?
Yeah, so those are considered Genesis avatars.
Okay.
In the collection. What I will say is there will be value that current holders receive that future Genesis avatars don't receive by virtue of the fact that we'll be doing stuff in the near future that kind of express that gratitude, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, I had heard it kind of a couple different ways, so I just wanted to see if there was a little more value to the initial people that bought versus the next 5,000 that go.
Yeah, there will be,
Okay.
and we'll make that. And then one big thing to note is that we have no idea what avatars are assigned to what ID. So some IDs are assigned past 5,000. So the rarity distribution that I'm giving everybody is a full distribution across the entire 10,000. We don't know, which avatars are going to land where, and I'll actually speak to that after the Q&A real quickly because I do have 2 exciting announcements. So I will do that right after.
Thank you. That was all I had. Really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Should we take a couple more, or do you want to get to the announcements?
Why don't we take? Yeah, I do have something I have to get to in 15 minutes. Why don't we
do one more?
2 more?
Okay.
Do 2 more, I guess, and then we'll take it from there.
Hey, hi, Binny. Thank you very much.
Hey, how's it going?
Can you hear me fine?
Yep.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just since we all about discovering the rarities, and I see lots of different percentages on all the different aspects and patterns of the avatar. There are actually some websites that compute all this into a rank. I've been, buying a lot of NFTs on the Solana blockchain as well, and they have Moonrank. It's an app where you will upload your hash tables or your collection structure with your rarity percentages, and then it will give you just a ranking number, and that I found. From our side, our perspective, to be very easy to understand the rarities and assign a value to it, an order of value at least.
Yeah, 100%. We are actually partnered with some of these platforms. So one of them is Rarity Sniper. So we will be having the collection available for rarity, kind of understanding there as well. And I think it'll be really helpful for the community. And we're going to try to provide as many resources as we can to kind of make it very clear once you get the avatar and you look in the collection. And I hope the slides we provided today are going to make that easy as well. There's like a lot of that goes into the avatar, so just making sure we keep it simple is going to be huge.
Okay, when do you anticipate to release the rarities on Rarity Sniper, for example, if that's the tool you're going to use?
So I think Rick has the answer to that. But based on my conversations with him, they can't essentially create the rarity distribution until after reveal. So once reveal is done, they'll be compiling the information and generating the rarity distribution across the collection on their platform. The details in terms of timeline, I'd expect it to be fairly soon after reveal, but I don't have a definitive answer. So what we could do is I'll speak with Brick and we'll make an announcement once it goes live on there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vincent, last one.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the reveal. I'm pretty excited for it. I joined a little bit late, so I might have missed some stuff. But I do have some questions for you guys. First being, I see the volume on OpenSea now, and I know that the secondary sales are going to be, kind of funding the DAO and what we're doing moving forward. With the amazing community you built, there's not a lot of people that are listing. And, how do you intend to fund that DAO if, the listings just aren't there?
So that's a really great question. So I think Dan would probably be the best person to answer this. I think I can answer it as well. He is here, so I don't know if Dan, you want to come up and talk to. We have a lot of different ways that we bring, kind of funding into the business. But Dan is our CEO, so he does lead all of that. Dan, do you want to come up? I see he's in the chat. Is there a way for us to invite him?
Yep.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Super excited for the community to hear about these announcements that are going to follow this question. I've got about 10 minutes, so I can answer Vincent's question. So to be very clear, we're in the process of setting up the legal entity. A DAO is essentially like starting registering a corporation or an LLC or a partnership. So it's a legal entity, and we are currently in the process of doing that. Beginning the way the flow of capital comes in, it will, once the DAO is set up, go through the DAO. The DAO will ultimately pay for all the expenses associated with development of the project, and then whatever is left is essentially backing the platform. So our estimate is that as we roll through into the first drop of our horses, that we'll get to a point where the DAO starts building foundationally into a massive wallet that just keeps growing, and its distributions are very small relative to, because our capital requirements relative to the size of the DAO would be relatively small. In terms of how that impacts the secondary market, I mean, we anticipate that a lot of people are going to hold. That's what we're looking for. If you want to be a part of this community and you want to be a part of the game long term, you have to own an avatar. But remember that right now, it's like a 2.5 to 1 ratio of holders, and there are some institutions in it as well that are holding. So the market will just dictate it. I'm not concerned about that. We have a lot of exciting things rolling out. I anticipate that as more and more people want to come in, they're going to have to, jockey for an avatar, and that will drive the market. It'll drive the value. At the end of the day, the more people that want to be in the game, there's only a limited number of spots, right? So that's going to drive. It's all supply and demand. And I'm not at all concerned about the activity level right now. I think it's actually a testament to the quality of the community that we have here and the conviction around the project.
Awesome.
In relation to the volume, and I don't think that's a concern of ours at all either. We're in a pretty strong place to execute on our build and continue to deliver value over the coming months. So. We appreciate the conviction behind the community and the project, and I think that's a testament to a very strong foundation that'll help validate this concept as we continue to grow. So,
I couldn't agree more. I just have a follow-up question, kind of pertaining to a similar thing. Are you guys worried at all about oversaturating the market as you release more avatars?
So Dan, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah. Are you referring to the balance of the collection, or are you referring to the future?
The future, not the remaining balance that's in lockup right now of the Genesis ones, but the future avatars.
So first, the Genesis avatars are going to have very unique value that will never be replicated across any other category. That's what essentially makes this an incredibly valuable collection. Going forward, the only way for us to invite more people into the community to become racehorse owners is through avatars. So we are going to produce and mint new collections that are going to be in line with the demand for people wanting to join our community. So we'll never saturate the market. And the same thing is going to hold true with land. We're only going to release land based on supply and based on demand, based on how much land do we really need. If an acre of land supports one horse and there are 20,000 horses, we don't have to release more than 20,000 acres of land in that given year. So we're going to be incredibly careful around managing the economy, and the only real levers we have is these levers, right? To decide how many people are we going to invite into the community next year? How many people are we going to invite? Are we going to allow to buy land next year? These are the kind of things that are going to be driven by what's going on. I anticipate that we have to provide an entry point for people at a level that is somewhat affordable over time. So if the Genesis Avatar collection becomes incredibly valuable and it becomes a huge barrier to entry for people to be able to come and be a part of the community, the delta is going to show up in another generation of avatars that will be priced at a different price point and have different value propositions than this.
And when we say different value proposition, we've kind of explained the utility of an avatar, and particularly Genesis Avatar, but we haven't explained what the utility of future avatars will be in relation to the Genesis. I don't think that's something we're going to get into now, but you just have to, and we'll validate it over time, but when you say Genesis Silks Avatar, that's going to be something that as this game develops 5-10 years from now, everyone's going to want a Genesis, because the utility tied to the Genesis is going to remain prevalent across the growth of this project. So when you say saturating, the Genesis collection will never get saturated by future releases, because the utility will maintain its value and potentially, make it more and more meaningful as time progresses.
Awesome. Yeah, that answers what I had. Sorry for always coming up with the tough questions, but you guys always handle them so well. Appreciate you guys, and looking forward to the announcements coming up.
Thank you, and we appreciate your questions and your energy. I love it, so thank you. Dan, I think we can make some 2 large announcements. I think one announcement is the Derby 2023, and the second one is the time that we're going to be revealing the avatars. So, do you want to do the Derby one first?
Sure.
So actually,
why don't we announce the reveal first, and then we'll go through the second contest.
Okay, sounds good.
Drum roll. There you go. We are officially revealing the collection at 5 o'clock this Thursday.
Eastern, 5 p.m. Eastern.
5 p.m. Eastern time this Thursday. We'll hit the switch, and this collection will be revealed. And just to be clear, the identity capsules from the second half of the collection that are now locked up will not be revealed, and those will be available on an unrevealed basis in the future at some point, and we'll manage that process and communicate that to you. But so we're literally approximately 2 days away.
Awesome. And it's very, very exciting. I honestly can't wait. I think in terms of 2 final announcements, the one thing I was speaking to you about today, which does touch on Rarity, and you are up here, there is one avatar in the collection that is what we'd call, has a small error, meaning one of its traits is if there's an error in its trait. And it's an incredibly rare avatar. And, we left it in the collection because we thought, like, Dan, you want to speak to the whole minting concept and, having a trait that does have an error.
Right. So when we reviewed the collection, there was literally one glitch. It was essentially an error in minting, very similar to if you're a stamp collector and inverted Jenny, or if you're a coin collector. There are very rare minting errors where it was misstamped or something or double stamped or something like that. So we do have one out of the entire collection that is an erroneous mint. We chose to leave it that way to make it a super, super rare, and we'll write something about it and post something about it, but that will be something to look forward to. And we're just sharing that now, and we still haven't discussed kind of what we're going to announce about it, but just letting you guys know there's one of these, we'll call them glitches, so to speak.
I love it. And then, I do have to leave in 3 minutes. So just to quickly touch on, and we'll make an announcement about this in the next couple of minutes as well for the community. But we were discussing, and obviously we're going to be providing a lot of benefits and utility to avatars and to the community. But one exciting thing that we are doing is we are going to be giving away an additional Kentucky Derby tickets for 2023 to a specific avatar in the collection. Dan, do you want me to speak to the way that the game is working, or that the contest is working, or do you want to talk?
Yeah, I would just go down the list of things that we talked about that I sent you in the email, so that everybody learns about this new benefit. It's a pretty big deal.
Okay, awesome. So just for the details, what we're doing is we're giving away 2 tickets to the 2023 Kentucky Derby. That includes Thursday through Saturday, the tickets, and then as well as $10,000 in cash towards the travel, accommodations, and expenses. The way that we are choosing the winning avatar is as follows. The winning order of the top 4 horses in this year's Kentucky Derby will determine the winning avatar. Meaning, depending on the post positions of each horse and the results of number 1 through 4, first place through 4th place, those numbers will be put together to determine the actual ID of the winning avatar. The way that works is that post numbers that are 2 digits long will lose their first number and will keep their second number. And what we will do is we'll essentially compile all numbers together and establish the ID of the avatar. If the avatar ID exceeds the number 5,000, the same contest will roll over to the Preakness, in which case if the same thing happens again, it will roll over to the Belmont Stakes. The rules around this contest are that no employees of Silks can win this contest. If one does win the contest, we will have to redo the contest in terms of the next race, or we will kind of provide an additional contest to earn this reward. But essentially, not only if someone gets the Tropical Racing avatar in the drop, but we are giving away 2 tickets now and experiences to next year's Derby. This might have sounded a little complex over, just the voice. So we will be releasing in the next 20 minutes a breakdown of the contest details for the community to see. But this is incredibly exciting, Dan.
And if I could just add, just so everybody understands this, these are 2 tickets for the Tropical Racing Suite at the finish line at Churchill Downs. It is considered one of the great suites in a venue with over 160,000 people watching the races. The collective package is priceless in the sense that these are not generally available, and I would say that we're talking about something in the order of magnitude of $40,000 or $50,000 in value. So there are 2 of them. One is going to the tropical, the person that pulls the tropical avatar. If it doesn't show up in this collection, then then that person, whoever gets it in the next distribution, will get that prize. But we're also introducing a second set of tickets with the experience and a cash award to cover expenses that will be done this way as well. So two opportunities for 2023, and we'll have all the details around this coming up. And it's another kind of fun way to experience the Derby, knowing that the combination of the 4 winners is going to dictate whether or not you're going to win. So we're super excited.
Awesome. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll be having additional AMAs in the near future as well.
Thanks all.
Thank you guys.
Don't forget to tune in. I'm pretty sure Troy is speaking in 30 minutes, so that's going to be really cool.
Yep.
Amazing. All right, thank you everyone.
See you guys soon.